friends, it is Seasons of Hustle Bootcamp Day 30, and today I'm sharing with you my personal Young Living story. But to be honest with you, I feel like my Young Living story really starts even before I found Young Living. I feel like you need to understand the background of where we were and what position we were in when we found Young Living to really get the full aspect of our story. So I am a small town girl, grew up in a small town in southern Indiana called Austin, Indiana, and we literally had one stoplight. There was 50 something people in my graduating class, so super small town. So I was not a big dreamer. You graduate high school, you get married, you have babies, you work somewhere local, you retire, and that was kind of life. So I really didn't have dreams for these travel experiences and bigger visions growing up. But that changed once we found Young Living. I met my husband in 2006. We had our only daughter, Mia, in October of 2009. She came after a very complicated pregnancy, in and out of the hospital a lot during that pregnancy, had her at 34 weeks. So she was a preemie, and she spent 13 days in the NICU. After that experience, she was pretty healthy for the first, I would say, 10, 11 months of her life. And then in September of 2010, our life dramatically changed in a way we never expected. So she was vaccine injured in September of 2010. We were taken by ambulance to a children's hospital. She couldn't breathe on her own, was on continuous breathing treatments for over 24 hours. She was lifeless. She was just laying in my arms, didn't really look at you. We really lost her at that point from the child that we knew. So within the next year after that, she was diagnosed with 48 different diagnoses, 157 allergies, and one of those diagnoses was autism. She was nonverbal till she was around 5.5. She was on 90 rounds of antibiotics in 15 months. So just lots of things going on. We actually wrote our first book, Hope Comes in Pieces, is her story from conception all the way up until around age 5. So if you want to read the full story, I've posted the link for that in this video as well. Just to give you a little bit of look into that background to know where we came from. So I spent my time, I worked full time, and if I had a free minute, I literally did not go to the bathroom or to the shower or anything without reading or researching something. So I spent my time hustling for information to help her. So I would travel to conferences, I was reading everything I could read, I was ordering books, I mean, you name it, internet articles, I was doing all the things. So one of these conferences that I went to happened to be in May of 2014, and that was to Autism One. It's one of the largest autism conferences in the world. It's held in Chicago, and my best friend Jessica and I met through our children because they both were diagnosed with autism, and most of you know Jessica. She's a gold leader in Young Living as well. So we actually got our starter kits on the exact same day at that conference. We also signed up for another MLM at the time because they had personal care products that were free of all of the things that we were looking for. We did not realize that Young Living had those things as well, or we wouldn't have had done both. So we said we don't want to do the business with Young Living, want nothing to do with it. We're just trying to help our kids. That was our mission. I was so skeptical, and honestly, I just bought my kit because everybody there was talking about it, and I was like, fine, just get me one, whatever, so we can talk about something else, because I was more focused on other information that I was there to learn. I didn't really think that was going to be the aha thing that year, because every year I learned something at this conference that was a dramatic game changer for Mia in her journey. So I really didn't think oils was going to be that thing. Well, it was. So when we got home, we had those kits delivered, and I started using the products, and within a few days we were noticing differences. Within a few weeks, other people were noticing differences, and people were like, okay, how do you get this? What are you doing with her? You know, people followed her journey. People have been following her journey for a long time because it has been such a dramatic journey. I've always told her she could be a Lifetime movie. So we just started seeing changes. People started asking. I still had no interest in the business, but I used my referral link, and so in 2 months, so by July of 2014, we ranked a star. And I'm like, okay, cool. What's that? Don't really care, because I'm not doing this as a business. I just want to help my daughter. And so that was my focus, was helping her. But then I quickly came to realize that if I could enroll 1 to 2 people a month, that would cover my essential rewards order. So when I ranked a star in July, that's when I really took the time frame to, gotta sneeze, excuse me, to think, okay, maybe, I don't want to do this as full-blown business, but people are asking anyway. So if I can just make that goal, then that will help cover my orders, because we are seeing change. Still don't know if I'm 100% all in it. So then I started researching the chemistry and all of that. So fast forward in our journey, by January of 2015, we had ranked Senior Star. And that happened because in October of 2014, a friend of mine called and she was like, hey, I've been seeing you talk a little bit about oils and some of your stories and things that you've been doing with Mia. We're looking for a different way to do our healthcare. We've got some healthcare changes coming up. Would you mind to come and share with me in a group of people, maybe like teach a class or just tell us what you know? And so I quickly said yes, and then hung up the phone, was like, what did I just say yes to? I don't know how to teach a class. I don't know how to do all these things, but I figured it out. Okay. So I quickly said yes, went and did that class. And that class was for Shannon Carroll, and she is now a Young Living Platinum. So that class really changed the face of my business and really kind of launched my business, because we hit Senior Star in January. Shannon started seeing changes. She started sharing. I was a little bit, after I taught that class, I was like, I can do this. It's not that hard. And I think I can do this thing. So that's kind of how that started. We reached executive in June of 2015. And then we reached silver in August of 2015. So we ranked to silver pretty quickly once I kind of invested myself into the business. And that was totally me not knowing what I was doing. It was just sharing stories, telling my story, and sharing with others. Know nothing about structure. I knew nothing about sponsor versus enroller. I didn't know a lot of those things. So I want that to encourage you that you don't have to know all the things to get through the first few ranks. I didn't even know what the compensation plan looked like until I was a silver. So don't let that stop you. So at silver, I had to really look at my organization. I had to learn the compensation plan. I started doing the personal development. And then within a year later, so we hit gold in September of 2016. That was after I attended First Steps to Success. First Steps to Success is a personal development conference that really, really changed my mindset, my positive language. So most of the things that you guys have heard through Bootcamp with the positivity mind speak and all of that, and that is where that started for me. And I honestly believe if I didn't do that portion, if I hadn't changed my mindset, changed my speaking life into not only my life, but my business, we would not have made it past that rank. And then in November 2017 is when we hit platinum. So our journey has been kind of a quick one. But don't compare that to your journey. I think our journey from platinum to diamond is going to be not as quick as a red personality would like it to be. And that's because I'm reshifting my work time. I'm reshifting things I'm doing. We have life changes going on. And that's the beautiful thing about this business, is it allows us to have that freedom. So I made a lot of mistakes in the beginning of my business. I worked 40, 60, 80-hour weeks. That's not duplicatable. I was teaching 20 to 30 classes a month. That's not duplicatable. I was the person who would answer messages at 2 a.m. That's not duplicatable. And if everybody's asking me, they're not learning how to find the information out themselves. So I've shared with you guys throughout Bootcamp some of those mistakes and some of the things that we are changing and doing in our business. So I hope by you guys knowing part of our story and kind of how we've got into this, and most people, when they join Young Living, don't sign up and say, I want to build a business. I want to be a diamond. Okay. You have to create that vision for them. You have to help them see that dream. You have to help see them that their story has purpose. So yes, we have a huge story with Mia's recovery, and Mia's doing amazing today. If you meet her at convention or other things like that, she won't be at convention this year, but maybe next year. But if you're at other events and you meet her, you would never know she's been through the life challenges that she's had at this point. And that was our ultimate goal, was to get there for her. So I just want you to know that no matter what your excuse is of why you can't do this thing, that's exactly what it is an excuse. So I could have used the excuse of, I have a special needs daughter. I don't have time. I work full time. but I still made it happen. I could have used the excuse when I lost my hearing. Well, I can't hear people well, so I need not to do that anymore. There's been so many things I could have taken as excuses, but instead I let them fuel my passion to change what I was doing and project it forward. So I hope that you guys will figure out what your limiting mindset mentality is and where you're coming up with those excuses in your own story that may be holding you back. I'm so glad that we took the steps forward to continue on this journey and continue building a business and continue supporting others and learning how to become a leader. It's super humbling to be here with you guys and doing boot camp with you with a book that I wrote. If you would have told me that 4 years ago, I would have thought you guys were crazy. Okay, I never saw myself as a public speaker. I've spoken at the largest autism conference. I've spoken at retreats and different things like that, being asked to speak in Facebook groups. And if you told me I would talk on Facebook Live, if you would have told me I would travel the world and I would like it, if you had told me I would have dreams as big as I have now, I really wouldn't have believed you. So be sure you're speaking life into your people, because everybody's story is different. And I hope you don't have a story as dramatic as ours. And so sometimes I also hear that from people, is they're like, well, we don't have as big of a story as you do. And I'm like, that's awesome. Because I hope that you haven't had to go through the walks in life that we have to get to where you are. But there are parts of your story that people need to hear. So know your story is your story, and your story has a purpose. So just let that fuel you. Let that keep moving you forward. I will be excited tomorrow to share with you guys the Q&A section that we've got. So be sure and post those questions in that thread that we've got going on. And then our huge announcement is coming tomorrow. So I will see you guys then.